forced to sleep in the same bed with my rival. The tension in the room was suffocating. Ethan stared at the single bed with disbelief. His fingers tightened around the strap of his duffel bag as his eyes darted from the bed to Lucas, who leaned casually against the door frame with an infuriatingly smug expression. Ethan's blood boiled at the sight of him, as it always did. Lucas had that effect being calm, composed, and maddeningly superior. "You've got to be kidding me," Ethan muttered, his voice laced with irritation. "There's only one bed." Lucas smirked, a lazy smile that always managed to get under Ethan's skin. "Looks like it. Not much we can do about it now, can we?" Ethan shot him a glare, his pulse racing with frustration. Lucas, of all people. It had to be Lucas, his rival for years both on and off the field. They competed in everything: grades, sports, extracurriculars. They even argued over the most mundane things, like who got the last slice of pizza at parties. And now they were stuck sharing a bed in this crappy hotel room during their school trip. There had to be a mistake. A cosmic joke, surely. But when Ethan checked the booking confirmation again, it was clear this was no error. He sighed and tossed his bag on the bed, running his hand through his hair. "I'm not doing this," he said, voice firm. "I'll sleep on the floor." Lucas chuckled, moving past Ethan to sit on the edge of the bed, looking completely at ease. He stretched his arms out and yawned. "Suit yourself, but I'm not giving up this bed. You can roll around on the carpet if you want, but I'm sleeping here." He patted the mattress, eyes twinkling with amusement. Ethan clenched his jaw. The cockiness, the arrogance. How Lucas could make such an irritating situation seem so casual was beyond him. And of course, it would be Lucas who wouldn't even offer to take the floor. "Just don't snore," Ethan muttered darkly, feeling defeated as he realized the floor wasn't going to work. The hotel room had hardwood floors, and he didn't have anything soft enough to make it remotely comfortable. With reluctance, Ethan grabbed a pillow and yanked a blanket off the bed. "I'm staying as far away from you as possible," he warned. Lucas only grinned wider. Good luck with that. The day had been long, a grueling hike with their classmates, followed by endless group activities that Ethan had only half-heartedly participated in. All he could think about was how much he dreaded coming back to the room and to Lucas. After a tense, silent dinner with their classmates, they returned to their shared room, where the uncomfortable truth awaited. They had to sleep together. In the same bed? Neither of them had said much after Ethan's initial protest. But as the hours dragged on and the lights dimmed, the reality became inescapable. Ethan climbed under the covers first, sticking to the far edge of the bed. His back turned toward Lucas. He could feel the heat of his rival's presence as Lucas slipped into bed a few minutes later. But neither of them spoke. The tension in the room was palpable. Like an electric current buzzing in the silence, Ethan lay stiff, trying to keep as much distance between them as possible. He had no idea how he was supposed to fall asleep like this, with Lucas so close. The guy had been the bane of his existence for years. It didn't matter that Lucas was good-looking or that sometimes, when they weren't at each other's throats, Ethan noticed how sharp his jawline was, or how his eyes gleamed whenever he teased someone. Those fleeting thoughts didn't matter. He hated Lucas, and that was that. Still, Ethan's thoughts wandered against his will, and he found himself hyper-aware of Lucas's breathing, steady and calm beside him. He shifted slightly, trying to get comfortable, but the bed was smaller than it looked. He was too close. "Can you stop moving?" Lucas's voice was a low murmur in the darkness. "You're making it impossible to sleep. Then maybe you should have taken the floor." Ethan shot back, though his voice lacked its usual bite. He was tired, drained from the day. There was a pause, followed by the sound of Lucas shifting in bed. "I'm not the one with a problem. You're the one acting like the bed's going to eat you alive." Ethan groaned. "It might as well, if I have to share it with you." To his surprise, Lucas laughed softly, the sound low and almost pleasant. "You say that like it's the worst thing in the world." "Relax, Ethan. We're not going to kill each other. It's just one night." Ethan frowned, staring into the darkness. One night, that was all it was. But somehow. The idea of sharing this small, intimate space with his rival enemy felt so much more significant than that. Why do you always have to make everything a competition? Ethan muttered after a moment of silence, his voice quieter than before. Lucas turned slightly, the bed shifting with his movement. Is that what you think? That everything's a competition to me? Ethan scoffed. Isn't it? You're always trying to one-up me, no matter what we do. It's exhausting. For a while, Lucas didn't respond, and Ethan thought maybe the conversation had ended there. But then Lucas sighed, and when he spoke again, his voice sounded different, quieter, almost contemplative. I never meant for it to be like that, Lucas said softly. I guess I always thought you were the one who wanted to compete. I just played along. Ethan frowned, confused. He turned over slightly to face Lucas, though the darkness hid most of his expression. What are you talking about? You're always starting things. Every time I try to do something, you swoop in and what? Lucas interrupted, his tone gentle but firm. I thought you liked it. The challenge, the competition. Isn't that why we're always at each other's throats? Because we push each other. Ethan stared at him, his mind reeling. Push each other. That wasn't how he'd ever seen it. He thought Lucas hated him, thought he wanted to see him fail. But as Lucas's words sank in, Ethan began to wonder if maybe, just maybe, things weren't as simple as he thought. Could it be that their rivalry wasn't built on hatred, but on something else? Something deeper. For a while, neither of them spoke. The room felt heavier, like the air between them had shifted. Ethan's heart was racing now, but for a different reason than before. He felt Lucas's presence more intensely than ever, and it was unsettling in a way he didn't know how to process. I don't know, Ethan mumbled, unsure of what to say. I don't get why you always have to challenge me. Lucas sighed again, a sound that seemed to carry years of unspoken words. Maybe because I know you're the only one who can keep up with me. Ethan blinked, caught off guard by the unexpected compliment. He opened his mouth to respond, but no words came out. What could he even say to that? The silence stretched between them, thick and charged. Eventually, Lucas shifted closer, just enough that their arms brushed beneath the covers. The contact sent a jolt through Ethan's body, but he didn't pull away. His pulse quickened, and he felt his throat tighten. What are you doing? Ethan asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Lucas's voice was equally soft when he replied, Nothing. I'm just tired of fighting. Ethan's heart pounded in his chest, his mind racing with thoughts he wasn't ready to confront. Was Lucas really saying what he thought he was? And if so, what did it mean? Without thinking, Ethan shifted closer to, their bodies now just inches apart. The warmth of Lucas's skin was almost tangible, and Ethan's breathing grew shallow as he struggled to keep his thoughts in check. You know, Lucas murmured after a long pause, you're not as bad as I used to think. Ethan let out a breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding. You're not so bad yourself, he admitted, his voice barely audible. For the first time in what felt like forever, the tension between them wasn't one of rivalry or competition. It was something else entirely, something that neither of them had been willing to acknowledge until now. As the night wore on, they lay there in the darkness, closer than ever before, and though no more words were spoken, the silence between them was different. It was full of possibility, of change, of something new. And for the first time, Ethan found that he didn't mind sharing a bed with his rival. The end.